Okay, so let me share my screen with all of you. Okay, is everybody able to view my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Okay,
yes.
so today for our first topic of our HANA DBA class, we will start with the cloud. I will just start with how to like introduction about the cloud, what is the cloud, and how to create your HANA lab in the cloud, and details about that, so that you can also create your own practical lab on the cloud. So okay, Azure cloud. So let us move forward. HANA lab on Azure. Why cloud? So the first question comes to all of your mind that why are we doing it on the cloud? Why not do it on some other dedicated hardware server or some kind of like virtualized server or like a VMware, some server installed with VMware? Why should we go on the cloud? So the reason I have chosen cloud is that the first thing is that HANA requires high-end hardware appliances. Okay, because since the very simple, the HANA is an in-memory database. It is also called as IMDB, in-memory database. So since it is an in-memory database, the memory requirement for an HANA database is very high. Okay, the minimum that you need for installation of HANA database is minimum 32 GB only for the HANA database, 32 GB. But if you want to install your S4 HANA application server on top of that database, then the minimum requirement is 128 GB. That is a minimum requirement. After that, depending on your environment, depending on your landscape, it can go up to like for suppose 256 GB, 384 GB, 512 GB, 1 TB, 2 TB. I have even heard about systems having 12 TB of memory. 12 TB of memory for this HANA database. So that is the reason this HANA is a very memory consuming application. Okay, so because of this, it's a very memory consuming application. Now setting up in a virtualized hardware, you need a very high end hardware for that. Okay, now for normal, you cannot set them into your own laptop. For example, even if you have an 8 GB laptop, 12 GB laptop, 16 GB, you can install an SAP application server with the other databases like Oracle, Sybase, MS SQL Server, and MaxDB or something. But for installing on this HANA DBA, you need a very high memory requirement. So that is the reason you need very high-end appliances for that. So HANA requires very high-end hardware appliances or virtual memory. So it can be a dedicated appliance also. You can directly install HANA on a direct hardware, or you can install VMware on that appliance, and you then create VMs, and then you can install the HANA database on the VMs. So which is not easy to set up in your regular PCN server. So it is not even your regular PC because normal the servers come across say like a 64 GB memory, 120 GB, 28 GB memory. So these kind of servers are not enough for installing your HANA database. So that is the reason it has a very high memory requirement. Second, cloud. On cloud, you don't have any startup cost or capital expenditure. That is capex. So why no startup cost? For example, if you are setting your own lab, if you are setting your own lab, then you have to first. The first thing is that you need to invest in a hardware. You have to purchase a hardware for your lab, very high-end hardware. Suppose minimum 256 GB of memory of hardware. Then to keep that hardware, you should have a dedicated space, and in that space you need to have the AC requirement. You have to have very cooling because servers are very like they heat up very easily. So you need a cooling system in place, and then you have a 24 hours electrical supply and everything. So these are the basic requirement to set up your own lab. So these are all the capital expenditure. Without starting with your lab, you just have to spend on the space, you have to spend on the cooling system and everything. But in the cloud you don't have to spend anything on the startup. You just directly go create account, create a VM, And as and when you use the VM, that is called the pay as you go. As and when you use the VM, you have to pay for the billing of that VM. You don't have to pay anything advance. You don't have to pay anything for the maintenance, nothing like that. So it is very simple and very easy. So no startup cost or capital expenditure, no recurring cost or operational expenditure. So recurring cost comes what, that some cost which you have to pay, like which comes again and again. Simple thing is like for electricity bill of your, if you set up your own lab or DC data center, then you will have to pay the monthly electrical bill of your data center. So it's a recurring cost. Okay, then comes your operational expenditure. Operational expenditure means there might be many kind of maintenance. You have to call the maintenance guy to do the setup, to do the installation. Every now and then there might be some issue with the system. You need to call that engineer again to analyze or rectify that issue. So that is the operational cost. So these are the, so in the cloud system there is no recurring, no operational cost. You create a VM, the amount of time that you use the VM, you have to pay for only that amount. If you don't, if you do, if your requirement for that VM is done, if you're done using that VM, you can shut it down. So the moment you shut it down, your meter will go down. So it will not be charged for the VM. uh, I'll just clarify this point a little. It's a little complicated. I'll not complicated. I'll just come to this point after we complete my this sentence. So once you shut down the VM, your meter is stopped, and you don't. For example, you can keep the VM shut for like say 10, 2 days, 5 days, 10 days, even for a month, 2 months. So till that time the VM is down, you will not have to. You don't have to pay anything for the computing charges. Okay, so now what is this again? So see, there are two types of charges in a cloud. One is the computing charges. In the computing charges, it calculates, it is based on your CPU utilization and memory utilization. This is your computing charges. And the second charges is your disk. That is your disk requirement. So these are the two type of charges. So once you create a VM, till the time your VM is running, you will be incurring the computing charges. Okay, now what is this requirement? See, for example, if you create a VM, so that VM will need some space on the disk, on the cloud storage. Okay, for example, if you install a Windows 2016 server, so it will need a space on the cloud storage to store its Windows files and everything. Then, in case if you are installing some application, so that application will also need some space on the storage. For example, you need 100 GB of space for this VM. So this 100 GB of VM space is calculated under storage requirement. So now what happens? Even if you shut down your VM, you will stop incurring the computing cost. But even after shutting down, you are still using the cloud storage because the data of your VM is still placed, is still residing on the storage of your cloud service provider. So that is the reason the storage charges are still currently running till the time you don't delete or you don't terminate the VM. So till the time your VM is there, till the time it is occupying space on the storage, you will be incurred charges for that storage device or storage this space. So that is the only clarification. So just to understand, there are two types of charges: computing charges and storage charges. So computing charges is based on your usage. Whenever how much you use the VM, when you start it, when you stop it, will be calculated on that. But the this requirement, it will start from the day one till the day you completely delete the whole VM from the your account. So that is it. Uh, Everybody is able to hear my voice.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
let me Anwar
and
is
very
saying that he's
clear.
not able to hear. Uh, okay. RJ, you mean to say bit louder? Should I speak a little louder? You mean to say? Okay.
Yes, sir, a bit louder. Why? Because even I was on a headphone, Bluetooth, voice is getting a very somewhat low, sir.
Low. Everybody else also facing this issue, low voice?
No, no. For
Not
me, it is
not
perfect.
exactly.
No.
If we
So
if we
RJ,
make
can you
make
try?
it maximize, it is okay.
Uh-huh. So RJ, can you change your earphone or and
Okay, sir.
try
I'll
to?
I'll try to I'll try to change my earphone and all.
Yes, yes, sure, sure. Okay, okay. So now coming back to the point. Okay, so there is a okay. The one point is no monthly commitment. Pay as per your usage. So other thing is that you are not binded to the cloud service provider. Binded in means that you don't have any commitment to pay some fixed monthly amount. Okay. For example, in case if you set up your own lab or your own data center, if you set up your own data center and if you rent a place for setting up your data center. So for example, you will have to pay a monthly rent. You will have to pay a dedicated monthly rent for your data center. No, like depending on the size or the amount of space that you have rented. Okay, you might rent a one rack space also in some data center or else. So that is you have to pay a fixed monthly amount for in case of rent. An example like that. So, but in the cloud, you don't have to pay any monthly commitment. You don't have any monthly commitment. Okay, for every month I need to pay this amount. For example, say $500, $1,000 that you need to pay, and even if you're not using the service, it is not like that. So only when you're using the service, you need to pay the amount as per as the usage, and that is it. No professional experience or special skill set required. Now, what do you mean by professional experience or special skill set? Now, what happens if you set up your own data center? Okay, so you will have to have your own uh, professional. You have to hire professional people for setting up your data center. So you need someone who will bring you, for example, the hardware technician. So the hardware technician will come. He will mount the rack server in the racks. He will do all the cabling, plugging, and he will start up the server. That is where your hardware technician. Then you might need a networking professional. He will come. He will do all the cabling and will do all the network setup. He will do all the switches and routers. He will configure the switches and routers and do all the configuration part. Then you will need a system, so you will need a OS professional who will come and who will do all the installation. Or for example, if you are setting up a VMware, virtualized environment, then you will need a virtualized professional virtualization who will set up the virtualized platform, who will install the hypervisor. For example, the VMware or the Hyper-V. So who will set up who will install the hypervisor, and then he will configure it and he will create the VMs for you. Then you'll need someone for the OS team to do all the installation for the operating system. So these are all, see, for your expertise is in HANA and S4 HANA. You are a basis professional. So you don't have all the skill set for setting up all these different domains. Okay, so here in a cloud environment, you don't need all this professional experience because you just have to go, you just have to log into your account and just have to create your VM. Everything, with all the data center, all the hardware setup is already done in the data center. You don't need to set up anything. You just have to click some buttons and it will create your VM, and and all the operating system, everything will be already loaded in the VM. It will be an image. So if you can directly start from your configuring and starting with the installation. That is it, very simple. So you don't need any professional experience or special skill set other than your skill set. Okay, now comes why Azure. So we have seen like what are the advantages or what are the benefits of having your data center on the cloud. Now out of this, why I have chosen Azure. So what the reason for is this? You can sign up for a free account. The reason for is this: you can sign up for a free account. So you can go into Azure, you can create your free account. The first thing is you can create a free account. You can need to just provide your email ID and need to create an account for that. Okay, there is one prerequisite, or you can say there is one condition for that. to open a free account, you need to punch in your debit or credit card for that. So that is, but if don't worry about that, will not be charged anything on your debit or credit card. I will just explain you in the next few slides and how it works. So, okay, the reason is you have to provide your debit or credit card for signing up. The card should have international transaction enabled. Okay, so it should be either a credit card or a debit card. If it's a debit card, then it should have an international transaction enabled, because normally some of the debit card don't have international transaction enabled. So this is the condition that you need to have to sign up for a free account. Second, $200 free credit on sign up. So you get $200 of free credit. Credit means you have the, when you create your free account, you get this credit into your account. So you can utilize this credit to by creating your VMs and different types of VM, creating different services. So you can adjust the amount. You can use this credit to create set up your lab on the Azure cloud. So the condition for it is it is to be used within 30 days from the day of sign up. To be used within 30 days from the day of sign up. After that, the balance credit will expire. So no, even if you have, like, say suppose $100 of free credit still remaining on the 38th day of your account creation of your after the creation of your account, on the 31st day, all the credit will exhaust. Okay, on the 30th day, on the 31st day, all the credit will go and you will start get billed for your usage. So for the first 30 days, you have to be a little alert. You have to monitor your usage, what you are using, and how much of free credits you have utilized and how much is remaining. After that, the balance credit will expire and you have to pay as per your usage. Okay, now coming up, it's very easy to set up. So setting up your Azure is very easy. Actually, I have used two three cloud provider, AWS and Azure. So comparatively between these two, I found that Azure is very simple to set up. In AWS, it's a little not, you can say, complicated or confusing, but it's a little more steps involved than setting up your HANA lab than compared to Azure. Azure is very simple and easy. Even beginners and novices can set it up. Now comes to your how to open a free account. What you can do, you need to go to the site the azure.com. If you go on this portal, this is the Azure portal. If you go on this portal, you will find the link on the front page itself, on the landing page itself. Okay, can you see there's a free account over here on the top bar? You can see the free account. So you can see the free account over here. If you click on the free account, it will take you to the next page. Also, there is a second tab over here. Try Azure for free in the green button. One on the top bar and the second one here in the center of this left side of the screen. So you can see over here you have two. One is your this is your one button and this is your second Azure for free. So these are the two links. You can click on this link and it will take you to the place where it will ask you for all your details. So it is asking built in Azure Cloud with an Azure free account to start free. So now again you click on start free and it will start asking you all the details about yourself, your email ID, your registration and all that information. Okay, you can see over here start with USD $200 of Azure credit. You will have 30 days to use it in addition for free services. Okay, in additional to this 200 USD, there are some services which are free. Some services which are free for additional 12 months. Other than this 30 days, you will get these services for additional 11 months. Okay, so these services are free for additional for total 12 months, and there are some services which are totally free. So these are the benefits of your account. Just a moment. So this is how you can create your free account. Now next is how to check your credit balance. If you want to check your credit balance, you can go on this link account.azure.com subscription. If you go on this link, Okay, so I think the link has moved now. Azure portal offers a research unified exchange for cost management. Okay, I need to check the exact place where you can check your details. So since actually mine is a paid account, I have like mine is not a free account, so I don't think I will get the details over here. We want subscription, so this is the subscription over here, active subscription. Okay, I think this is the page over here. If you see over here, here you have to click on the subscription summary of it. You have to click over here. So I think somewhere here it will show you your free credits. Somewhere here it will show you your free credits, how much you have utilized and how much is remaining in your account. So if and okay, view all free services, upgrade coverage, view resources, view details. Okay, I think so, if you create your account, if you go onto this link, somewhere here you get your details about how much is your how is your free usage and how much is how much balance is remaining. So if you see here in this screenshot, you can see over here, if you see the green bar, if you see the green bar, this is the remaining, this is the balance which is showing. So what is the balance over here? 4,421.78 rupees. So this is the balance of my account. So you can see like this was the balance on this date, 23rd of September. Yes. Okay, so this is your free credits remaining, the balance of your account. So as and when you will use it, it will go on reducing. The first time when you log in, it will see the green bar up till the right, up till the full. You will see the green bar full from till here. And as and when you keep on using, it will go on decreasing. And it will also show you the amount in your local currency, how much is remaining. So this is how to check your credit balance. How to operate your account. So how to operate your account? So this is the portal, or this is the page. This is the main page from where you can operate your cloud account. Portal.azure.com. You can see over here. This is your first page. This is your home page over here. You can see some services over here on the top hand side. These are the used services which you have used in the past, and these are the list of the resources that you can just click on this three bar over here on the left hand side, top left hand side of the screen. If you click on it, you can see all the services, list of services over here. You can click on all services. If you click on all services, you can see all the services on the left hand side. So these are the different categories: general category, compute category, networking category, storage, web, mobile, containers, databases. So there are hundreds of services available in this Azure cloud. And I don't think you will be needing all the services. Maybe I think three, four, or maximum five. The are the number of services that you might be using for these cloud services. Out of this, all these are cloud services. So this is how to operate your account, all services. So you need to go into here in this all services. Okay, any queries till now, friends?
No.
Okay.
So in AWS also it is the same, or like
See, the concept
is it
is
different?
same, but technically it's a little. You need to create some more resources to
Okay.
achieve the same objective. Here it will be a fewer clicks, less number of clicks, and less number of resources to be created to achieve the same objective. But in AWS, it will be a little more. You can say long, lengthy. You need to create this service, then you need to create this service. You need to attach this to that, and all this. That is the reason. But technically both are the same.
One more thing.
Yes.
Suppose
Yes.
AWS is
Anybody,
there and
anybody who's asking question, just try to first introduce your name. So because I can't see like who
Yes,
is
correct.
talking.
This is Sudip Kumar.
I guess Sudeep.
Yeah, I'm just asking that suppose we are going to work on Azure cloud,
Mhm,
and we are also checking AWS. So
mhm.
what would happen if which one is giving more free services for longer period of time, so that we can be at I mean the services which are cheaper, so that we can associate our you can say labs more with that. I mean,
Okay, so yes,
both are
so
having
let
some different type of positives and negatives. Yeah,
yes, yes.
apart from the complexity.
So, see, coming answering to your question is that see, if you are saying that how which provider will give you more free number of services. So, if you answer that question properly, then I think the first one which has come to my mind is GCP, Google Cloud Platform, that is offering I think somewhere equivalent or some I think it's a more I think $300 or worth of some free services. But creating an account on GCP, it's a little bit complicated because I was not able to create my account on GCP. It was some related to that credit card issues and all. It was not accepting my card, and there are many issues with that. So I was not able to create that account. The others should also not face that issue. So that is why I'm not promoting GCP. But if you are able to create your account on GCP, then it's okay. I think it is giving some 300 or something worth of free services. Credit. The next, or you can say equal to that is AWS. AWS also offers $300 of free credit. But the problem with AWS is that in Azure you get an upfront credit. You sign up for a free account with Azure, and directly without asking any question, you will get $200 of free credit in your account direct, no nothing, no condition. But in AWS, as soon as you register for your free account, you will not get a direct free credit of $300. You'll have to maybe after some time, 1 or 2 days, or maybe after 1 week, they will send you a mail in your email ID. Then they will say that we are offering you $300 of free credit. Please register. So you have to register. To again, you have to do some small registration, and you have to tell them why do you need the $300 of free credit, and how will you utilize it. So it depends on them whether they will approve or reject your request for this $300. So this is something with AWS. In here,
Okay.
Azure, there is no condition. You sign up and you get the $200 of free service.
Okay, that's very convenient to use Azure then.
That is it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have completed the understanding what is a cloud and what are the services provided by cloud, and some comparison and the advantages, benefits, and disadvantages, something like that. Now let us go something into more technical. Okay, so now what happens in an Azure cloud? How can you create your lab in an Azure? Okay, so coming to this, so here is your virtual network. Now what happens? See, even if you don't need an in-depth or more expert knowledge in networking, but still you will need some basic knowledge for understanding the setup of to set up your lab on Azure cloud. You should have a basic understanding of like what are subnets, what are IP addresses, and how are they divided. So just a brief understanding of that. We'll go through that, and I'll explain you that over this in this screen. If you have any questions, even after that, just you can raise your hand and ask it. No should. So now what happens when you want to create a VM? If you want to create a VM in your account, you cannot go and directly just create a VM. You have first what you have to do, you have to set up a virtual network. You have to set up a virtual network. You have to give some details. You have to give the subnet. You have to give the IP range. You have to give the subnet address. What will be the address of your subnet, something, and all this. There are some details about it. And after creating your subnets and what after setting up your virtual network, then comes the second step of creating your virtual machine. Because while creating a virtual machine, it will ask you under which virtual network you want to place your VM. So that is the reason creating a VA virtual network is a prerequisite to creating your virtual machine VM. So that's it. Now, what is a virtual network? Now, now what happens? For example, I have taken an example of this network address over here. What is it? 10.0.0.0/16. Okay, so this can also be tell as a CIDR, classless internet domain routing address, or you can also tell this is a subnet address. So I will create a subnet or in the Azure cloud, and I will mark the Azure cloud will mark this subnet that this IP address belongs to me, this account. Okay, sorry, let me just reframe you another thing. So, for example, you have a complicated network which you want to set into your account. You have multiple number of VMs and all, and you don't want to place all the VMs in one virtual network. You want to segregate them. Some VMs should not communicate with the other VMs. Okay, for example, this 4 or 5 VMs should not communicate with the other VM. This VM should not have access to the outside world, and this VM should not communicate to this class of people, this section of people. So to segregate all this, what you do, you create different subnets, and what you do, you put routing. You can say routing, or you put some rules. You can put some rules on the subnet. Okay, so what is that role of the subnet? Whether this subnet should be allowed to talk to this subnet, or this subnet should only talk to this subnet and not to the other subnet. So these are some kind of the rules like this. So that is the reason you can set up multiple subnets, and the group of subnets, all the subnets will be placed under your virtual network. Okay, just to simplify things, just so the simple understanding is that what is a virtual network? Virtual network is nothing else but your data center on the cloud. Virtual network is nothing but your data center on the cloud. It's a virtual data center on the cloud. Okay, very simple. It's a virtual data center on the cloud. Now, under this virtual network, you can create multiple subnets. Okay, you can create multiple subnets. So how many subnets can you create? So this is subnet number 1, 10.0.0.0.0/24. This is the address of this subnet. This is the network address, 10.0.0.0.0/24. This is the network address of this subnet. Second, subnet number 2, it will start with 10.0.0.1.0/24. This is the this is the network address of the second subnet. Likewise, you can have up to 256 subnets. You can create 256 subnets in one virtual network. In one virtual network, you can create up to 256 subnets. For example, 10.0.0.0.0 up to 10.0.1.0 till the last one, 10.0.0.255.0. So this will be your 256 subnet. Since it is starting from 0, so instead of 255, it is the total count is 256. So is it clear till now? You can create up to 256 subnets in your virtual network.
So, hi, this is Vipul. Why this
Yeah, yes,
/24? Why it can't be /25? Can it be /26?
you
Just
can have that. But see, again, what I'm telling you, that I'm trying to explain it in as simple way as possible. Because most of the
okay.
people who are attending now, they are not into very like a networking and deep level
No,
of networking. If I tell them
yes.
/25, they will get confused.
Okay. No, I'm just like, can
Yes,
it be
yes, you can.
/24/25? Like
Yes, it is
124
upon your
and one.
requirement. Based on your requirement, you can set, you can manipulate the subnet address as per your requirement. Because this is the
I
same configuration which a novice user, which a newcomer will also be using the same configuration, and even the company's corporates will also be using the same configuration. So you
Okay.
can make it as complicated as per your requirement. There no issue with that.
Hi, sir. My name is Shrikant. That
Yes, you can.
20, sir, 25 and 255, 20, I think
Yes.
25 and 26, it is reserved for loop back and routing purpose, sir, actually. I came from network background. That's why I'm saying.
Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. No idea. I didn't have any clear idea about that because okay, no issue with that.
Okay, sir.
So
Muzaffar, this side Zulfikar, out
you
of
Zulfikar.
256, two subnet is means that not be used. Two is left. Just what
Which two is left?
means 256
Mm-hmm.
and starting from 1.
No, no, Zulfikar, that is different. What you are talking here, that is different. We'll come to that point. Now here
Okay.
you can have total 256 subnets, no issue with that. What you are talking about is the network, is the IP address. I will explain to you after this screen. If your doubt is, if you still have doubt, you can come back with that same question.
Okay.
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 So now starting from subnet 1, you can create up to 256 subnets. And now under each subnet, this is your network address. Okay, the first IP in that subnet address will be your network address. So in the first subnet, it will be 10.0.0.0.0. This will be your subnet, the network address. Under the second subnet, 10.0.0.1.0 will be your subnet address. Sorry, network address. And similarly, in the last one, it will be 10.0.0.255.0. This will be your network address. The first IP of any subnet address will be your network address. Okay, so here there is not a space to give you examples of all the. You can just understand for the first subnet 10.0.0.0. For second, for third one it will be 10.0.2.0. Fourth one 10.0.3.0, and so on up to 10.0.255.0. So the first IP will be your network address.
So, Muzaffar,
Okay.
just before here, what is the
Yes,
use
Vipul.
for this network ID? Like,
Haha.
and
See
I
now,
don't
for
know.
example, in case of giving some assigning some rules or setting up some rules. Okay. For example, in your case, if you want to allow your traffic, if you don't want to allow your traffic to the whole subnet, or if you want to allow your traffic to the whole subnet, you can, instead of giving the whole IP addresses, you can just give the simple network address. Okay, there are many configuration, even for DNS configuration, DHCP configuration, and for say your NFS configuration. For example, if you want to open some service, if you want to allow some service for the whole subnet. Okay, so how will you define the whole subnet? So you can just give the network address that will be, for example, 10.0.0.0.0/24. So you by this IP, by this address, you can allow the service to the whole subnet. So all the IP addresses which are there in that subnet will be allowed those service. And for some other subnet, for example, 10.0.1.0, if you don't want to allow some services for that subnet, or for all the systems VMs which are there in that subnet, where by giving the name of that address, the network address, you can deny all the services to all the IPs under those network address.
Sir, how many hosts will be coming under this network, sir? 10.0.0/16
How many
hosts, sir. How many hosts will be coming?
hosts?
How
I
many
can't get your question. Can you come again? Host, by host, what do you mean by host?
how many computers can be how many IP addresses can be
How many
accommodated in this?
VMs? Okay, you mean to say how many VMs will be there?
Yeah, yeah. How many VMs? How many
Okay.
VMs can be accommodated in this network?
Now now what happens if you see this address over here, 10.0.0.0/16. Okay.
Yeah.
So 16, what does this 16 mean? Actually, in this IP or in this address over here, every octet means the each or the number which is divided by this dot, full stop, or decimal point. So between in each decimal point, it is called as one octet. So 10 is your in the first octet, the second 0 is in your second octet, and the third 0 is your third octet, and the fourth 0 is your fourth octet. So actually, just for simplification, this address is divided into four parts. Okay, so that first 10 comes into your one part, the second 0 comes to your second part, the third 0 comes to your third, and this 4. Let me So your question is this: how many VMs or how many IP address can you have under this in 10.0.0.0/16? Okay. So now what happens? See, this address and network IP address network is divided into 4 parts. One, every part is divided. It's segregated or divided by a full stop. So this is the first part, the second part, the third part, and this is the fourth part. Okay. So each part is divided by the number 8. 8.8.8.8. So for example, if I want only to allow the first 2 octet to be used as my network address, then this will be the subnet mask. The 16 is actually the subnet mask. The 16 is actually your subnet mask. So you are masking your subnet. So 16 means it is the addition of the first 2 octets. So first 2 octet will be, that is your 8 plus 8, it will be 16. So what does this mean? It means that the first two octet of an ID address will be your network address, and the second 2 octet will be your IP address or the host address. So in this case, in case of this 16, you will have, for example, you will start with this number 10.0.0.0. This is your starting number. From here, it will go up to 10.0.255.0. Okay, this is the starting from sorry, 1 minute. No, not here. It will 10.255.0.0. So this is your first starting network address 10.0. Then it will go up to say 10.1. Then it will go up to say 10.2, 10.3, 10.4. These all are your network address. This is not your IP address. These all are your network address. So you can have this number up from 10.0.0.0. So the first 2 octet will be your network address and the second 2 octet will be your IP address. Is it
And
clear?
these are the reserved subnet masks for this virtual machine, right?
Reserve subnet masks as in how?
Like since we are giving these are the ranges which we have given, right? For the
Okay. Yes. Go on.
so what I understood is whatever ranges which we have given, like /24, till this extent we can give the subnet mask for the new whatever lab which we are creating.
Okay. So let me just do one thing. Let us just clear this blackboard. Let me just again start from fresh. Okay. So now what I am explaining over here, this is your virtual network. Okay, the virtual network, this is the address of my virtual network. So what is this address of my virtual network? 10.0.0.0/16. So what does this mean 16? The 16 means that the first 2 octet of this address is my network address, and the other these two will be my these are open for your this will be inside of this. So the first two is your network address. So this will be common for all your subnets. 10.0 will be common for all your subnets. Now you can start creating the subnets from the third octet 1. This will be your first subnet 10.0.0.1.0. This will be your first subnet, and you will give it the subnet mask of 24. Why? Because now this is the first 3 octet of this address will be your network address. This is your network address, and the last octet will become your IP address. Now under this subnet, what you will have? You will have 10.0.1. The first number will be your network address. The first number will be the network address. Then your second number will be 10.0.1.1. This is your second address. So it will start from, these are the IP addresses. Similarly, 10.0.1.2, 10.0.1.3. It will go up to till where? 10.0.1.255. This is the last IP of your subnet, 255. You cannot go beyond that 255. So the first 3 octet is your network address. The network address, your network address or your subnet address. So this is your subnet number 1, 10.0.1, and these are all your IP addresses 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up till 255. Is it clear? So in this case, in this virtual network, the the first 10.0 will be a network address, and starting from the third, I can use it for giving the address for my subnets. Okay, so this will be the total. This is the actual address for my virtual network, and this starting from this is the first subnet, then the second, third, fourth. You can have up till 255. 10.0.255, that will be total 256 subnets. You can create 256 different networks, different subnets into this virtual network. Is it clear? Any queries, any doubts for this?
So by the way, sir, totally 6553 VMs can be created in this network with a 256 subnets ranging from 0 to 255.
I'm coming to this. I will answer this question of yours. Now, what happens under this virtual network? I can create up till 256 subnets. Okay, this part is clear. Under this virtual network, I can create up till 256 subnets. Is this part clear?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, everyone. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, under each subnet, so the first address, the first IP address is reserved for your network address. Okay, the first IP address is referred to as your network address. So that is the reason it is not usable. You cannot give an IP address 0. You cannot give a 0 IP address to any host, any device, any VM. So 10.0.0.0, this is the first IP address of that subnet, which is reserved or which is referred to as your network address, which is not non-usable. Then the last IP address 10.0.0.255, this is the last IP address of the same subnet. And every subnet will have the same last IP address 10.0.0.255 or 10.0.1.255. So this is the last IP address of each subnet. This is reserved for broadcasting. This is also referred to as your broadcast address of each subnet. Okay, that is a broadcasting. So this IP address is also not usable. You cannot use this IP address in a general terms. I'm not talking about cloud network. In any network, even in your office network, even in your home network, you cannot use these two IP addresses. For a simple example, if you have your own cable, if you have your router, if you have a router set up into your home for your network internet usage, so you cannot give the IP address 10.0.0.0 to your laptop, because that IP address is reserved for your network address. Even the router that you are using will have the IP address for something like 192.168.0.1. So it will have the IP address 0.1 for your Wi-Fi router. 0.0 is non-usable because it is reserved for the referencing the network. Similarly, the last IP address, that is a 255, it is also non-usable because it is used for broadcasting. So this is in terms of general network, in any network, even in your home network, even in your office network, even in the corporate network. These two IP addresses are non-usable. The first IP address and the last IP address. Okay, so this was for the general. Now in cloud computing, when you come in cloud computing, there are, in additional to these two IP addresses, there are 3 IP addresses which are non-usable. That is the IP address 10.0.0.1. That's the second IP address, the third IP address, and the fourth IP address. These IP addresses are reserved. What are they reserved for? The gateway of that subnet. The gateway of that subnet. In our case, it will be, for example, the subnet number 1, 10.0.0.0.0. So the 10.0.0.0.1 will be used as the gateway IP of that subnet. Second will be used as your DNS. And the third is reserved by the cloud service provider. In our case, it is reserved by Azure. So IP address third is reserved. It will be used by them. You cannot use these IP addresses for your general usage. So leaving these, all these trees are non-usable. So only these many parts are left to be used. What are these IP addresses starting from 10.0.0.4? You can only use from starting from 4 up till 254. So only 251 IP addresses are free to be used. Is this part clear?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Sir, this gateway address will be treated as, will be reserved as 0.1. Normally, we can take the gateway addresses to 10.0.0, 254 also. But in particularly Azure,
254
this will be
actually
considered as a
depends.
gateway, sir.
Actually, 250 what you're saying, it depends on your network administrator or network team what they decide to put over there. But 90% or you can say 99% of the time, it is the first usable IP address of your subnet. That is, and for example, if your subnet is say like say 10.16.0.0, then it will be 10.16.0.1. So that one will be the gateway IP of your subnet.
Is it the pattern followed by Azure, sir? That's why it is they are taking these three
Yes,
reserved
see,
these IP addresses as reserved IP addresses.
Actually, it is not reserved by the device, but it will be reserved by your team. Okay, it will be
By
reserved
Azure.
by it will be reserved by the network team. Okay, in case of your home, if in case of your corporate network, it will be set by the network team. Here, it is set by the Azure team.
Okay. So these IP addresses will be reserved by the Azure network team. So
The
we can
yellow
use
one,
from 4 to 254. That's
the
right, sir?
yellow, the yellow, the yellow highlighted ones are reserved by the Azure team, our network.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And the red one will be reserved in any subnet, any network. Even if you check in your home network, if you have a Wi-Fi router, you cannot use the first IP address and that is a 0 and the last IP address that is 255. Okay, if you want to test it after this class, you can go, you can try to change the IP address of your laptop or your computer and try to change it to something like with the try to give it 0 or 255. Okay. So these are the 5 IP addresses which are non-usable in your network. So only starting from the 4, starting from the 5th IP address up till this one 254. So only 251 IPs are free to be used. Is it clear?
Yes, very clear.
Yes, yes, clear.
Okay. So this is how your network this is over here. Now let us go to the next screen. Okay, now we have to understand how to use your how you this system or how this virtual network works. How can you set up your PC in this network and how to access it. So now this is your Azure cloud. So here if you see, this is your the cloud. This is your cloud network. This is a cloud service provider. This is your cloud network. For in our case, it is our Azure cloud. Here it is your my network, or it can be your network. Okay, this can be your DC, your data center. This can be your office network, or it can be your home network. For example, if you're working from home, then this will be your home network. In your home network, it will be your personal Wi-Fi router. So that will become your home network. And under this network, you will have different kind of servers. In case if it's a data center, then you will have servers. Okay, if it is an office, then you might have PCs. Then if you have it's a home network, then you might have tablets and mobiles also in your home network. Okay, so this is your network. So this is the cloud network and this is the home network. So how will you interact or how will you communicate with the PCs which are there in your cloud network? So now in your cloud network, this is your virtual network. You have set up a virtual network. We have created a virtual network by the range by the network addresses 10.0.0.0 /16. Under this network address, you have created two subnets. Okay, one is your one subnet. You have designated the role of the first subnet as your public subnet, and the second subnet is your private subnet. So the public subnet has the IP address of 10.0.0.0/0/24. This is your subnet address, and the subnet address of your private subnet is 10.0.1.0/24. So you have two subnets under your virtual network. Now, why are we having two subnets in your virtual network? So as the name suggests, the public subnet means the VMs located under the public subnets are open to internet communication, or these are accessible on the internet. These are accessible from the internet. These are open to the internet. These are the public subnet. Second comes your private subnet. What means private subnet means this will be closed to the outer world. You cannot access this. You cannot access the VMs placed under the private subnet from anywhere from the internet. You cannot communicate from anywhere from the internet. It will be only accessible through your other subnet in your virtual network. So how this works? For example, you have a HANA VM, you have a HANA virtual machine, and the IP address of this virtual machine is 10.0.1.4. This will be the first free IP of your subnet. So the subnet address is 10.0.1.0, it will be 10. The first IP address of this subnet free IP address of this subnet will be 10.0.1.4. So the IP address of this HANA VM is this IP address. Now what happens if you want to access this VM from your network? So what should you have? You will need a VPN. You will need a VPN connectivity. That is a virtual private network. So you need to set up a virtual private network from your network to the private subnet, or you can have a direct connection. This is also called as a direct connection. For this direct connection, you need to apply with the cloud service provider. They will lay a direct connection from your office to their cloud network, and it is very costly and it's a bit expensive. That is a direct network. A simple, cheap alternative is your VPN connectivity. You can connect using a VPN. So before you connect to the VM, you need to connect to the VPN. You need to enable your VPN on your laptop or your PC, and then only you can connect to this HANA VM from your network. So this is one way of connecting to the systems under the uh, private subnet.
Just,
Second,
just
yes,
one question.
yes.
This VPN connectivity will also go on internet, or like it will not go on internet.
Then it will be on the internet. This will be on the internet. Your direct connectivity, it doesn't need internet.
Okay, so that it will be on internet, so it will get connected on private, not on public. If it,
I can't get
I
your
mean,
question. Can you come again? What?
so we are connecting via VPN, okay, and
Yes,
VPN is going on like the traffic is going on internet via internet. So will it
yes.
connect with the private subnet or with the public subnet?
No, you see here what happens in a VPN. Now, though it is though the backbone is internet, but it will be a encrypted communication. It will be encrypted communication, and there will be an endpoint. You will have a VPN gateway on your cloud service provider. There will be a VPN gateway, so your traffic will be only routed to that VPN gateway. It will not get dispersed on the internet. Your packets will not flow anywhere else. It will be a tunnel, which is also called the VPN tunnel. So you will have a direct VPN tunnel from your network to that your cloud network, your virtual network. So it will be a direct VPN tunnel. So all the traffic, it will only flow within that tunnel, and there will be the other, like for example, hackers will not be able to get inside your tunnel because it is an encrypted traffic.
Okay,
So it will work on the internet, but it's not open to everyone. You cannot go and directly open any PC, and you cannot directly connect to that VM. You need to have a VPN account. You need to connect. You need to have a VPN software. You have to install the VPN client on your PC, and you need to have the VPN gateway configured on the cloud network. And then when you connect, you will have some kind of authentication, username and password. You give the username and password, then only your connect tunnel will be established between your network and your cloud network. So when the VPN tunnel is established, then only you can connect to the VM in your private subnet.
Okay.
So that is the reason. Though it is the traffic is flowing to the internet, it will not give open connection. So here it is. You can have this connection. Now coming to the second part. For example, if you don't have a VPN connectivity, if you don't have a VPN facility, how will you do that? How will you connect to this HANA VM in your cloud network? So for that reason, what you will do, you will have a private subnet. Under that private subnet, you will create one VM, which is also called as the Bayesian host. This will also be referred as a Bayesian host, which is also referred as jump server. A jump server or your jump box. It means if you want to access any VM inside your network, you will have to first connect. You have to first jump to this jump box, and from there you can connect to the other subnets, to the other PCs in your cloud network. So this Bayesian host, the IP of this Bayesian host will be the first IP, free IP of your subnet, 10.0.0.0/.4. Okay, this is IP. So this Bayesian host. Okay, so you cannot connect this Bayesian host directly to this IP 10.0 because this is a private IP. Okay, sorry, this IP is not open on the internet. This IP is not published on the internet. You cannot go and directly connect to this IP address. I cannot connect to this IP address from the internet. So what you need to do, you need to attach a public IP. You need to attach a live IP or a public IP to this Bayesian host. So after connecting, so this is the live IP 20.84.1.87. This is an example of a live IP. So once you attach this live IP or public IP to this Bayesian host, then you can, from your network, you can connect to this public IP and you can go into that Bayesian host, and from that Bayesian host, you can connect to your HANA VM.
Sir, here we will be doing NATing with the Bayesian host of the public IP address to the private IP address. Right,
Everything will be done. See, everything will be done by the cloud. You don't have to do anything. This is just for your understanding.
Then how you are able to connect this Bayesian host to the private network through RDP?
We will see everything. We will see everything practically. Now, this is the theoretical part just for your understanding, just for getting your like clarity how it works. Okay, how to connect it and how to do it practically after this. Is it clear? Okay, sir. So, any queries, any doubts?
What is netting? Just actually, I don't know.
Who's this?
Vipul, this Vipul.
Yes, people. Yes, tell me.
Netting. What is netting
Right,
like?
there
Connectivity.
will come again. What is the query?
I think RJ, I think said netting from one
Ah,
VM to other.
we
Netting is
don't have
connectivity.
we don't have to do any netting or anything on our part. We just have to create the Bayesian host and we have to attach a public IP to the Bayesian host and it will start working. That is the simple, very simple as it. There is no netting feature as of now.
Sir,
Hello.
why the name Bayesian host, sir? Any particular reason, sir? Why Bayesian host?
Bayesian host is the name of the service. Okay, any host which you use to connect to other PCs in your network, this service is called as a Bayesian service. This service is called as the Bayesian service. So if you have a dedicated host, so this is called as a Bayesian host. It means you will connect to this host, and after from this host, within this host, you will connect to other PCs of your subnet, other VMs of your private subnet. Is it clear?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, Sudip here, Sudip.
Yeah, yes, Sudip.
So basically, in summary, it is like we have the HANA VM, which we are going to use. So
Yes.
this will reside in the private subnet. Okay.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
basically, we from my laptop, we are going to connect it either of the two methods. One is
Yes.
VPN, which is direct connection. Directly, we
No,
are
VPN.
so it
So
is like directly accessing the what you RDP to the HANA VM through VPN, correct? 10.0.1.4, correct?
Yes.
Or through internet if we want to access. So we have to first access the public IP and then the Bastion host, and from Bastion host we have to access the HANA VM.
Yes. Yes. Just for
So,
your one correction, the
yeah.
VPN and the direct, these are two different things. VPN connectivity is different and direct connection is different. These are not one and the same.
Okay. There are different. So
So if you
VPN
want
is
to give
basically
a
we are connecting to any VPN service and then we are
yes.
connecting to HANA. Then what is direct?
Direct is a direct connectivity. You can compare this something to as a MPLS cloud or MPLS connectivity, a point-to-point connectivity between two networks. It's a dedicated
Okay.
connectivity. It's a
Okay. Okay.
dedicated
Okay.
connectivity between two networks.
Okay. Okay.
VPN is
So
something you can
yeah.
start and stop also.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
so it's
Okay. Got your point. So we are not going to use direct connectivity, correct?
no, you have
We are
to
going.
apply for the direct connection. It takes
Yes.
2 3
Yes. Yes.
months to be laid it down, and it's very
Yes.
costly.
Yeah, yeah,
Very,
obviously,
very,
yeah. So which way
very
we are going to use in our class, VPN or through internet?
internet to the internet way.
Okay, okay, okay. So VPN, we have the option of VPN, but we are not going to use the VPN
Yes, yes,
method.
that is used by your corporates and organizations for more
Okay.
complicated setup.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, okay. So quite clear. It is very clear from here.
So
Thank
this
you.
is the part. Now, okay, so now I think with this we have completed a cloud, the theoretical part of our cloud understanding, like how the cloud works and what are the things and all. I think with this we have completed the cloud. I think we'll take a break of 10 and 15 minutes and then we can rejoin so we can then start again with the practical part just to start with a fresh mind. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Sir, a silly question. What will be the
Ah,
cost what will be the cost? Suppose we are having a lab of for 30 days.
uh,
Suppose for our understanding, if it is not happened within 30 days and we want to
mhm,
practice more, the configuration what you are going to set up on the lab, if
yes.
we approach a private vendor like a Microsoft Azure or someone, what will be
Mhm.
the approximate cost of the VMs which we are going to handle in our lab, which
Yes,
we can afford? What will be the approximate cost?
yes, RJ. Actually, this is not a stupid question. This is a very intelligent question. So, and don't worry about that. When we will start with the practical, I will explain in detail about the cost and everything. Okay, and even after that, if you have some doubts, you can come and ask me.
Okay, sir.
We'll
Okay.
cover
Sir,
we'll cover the calculation, the part on that pricing part. Yes, yes. Anybody else? What?
the class is up to 9, sir.
Actually, it depends on the topic. Actually, I said that it will be somewhere around 2.5 to 3 hours. So we started at 7, then we had the introduction. So no, actually we started at 7:30. So right now we have just included like used up 2 hours. So I think it will go like 45 minutes or 1 hour more. I think it is.
Okay, sir. No problem. No problem, sir.
So,
So
but from
yes.
my side, I can say that right now it is very interesting. We are going very interestingly.
No issues. Even in your further next topics also in the next classes also you'll find it interesting. Okay, so let's take a 10-15 minute break. We'll meet again at 8:35 or 8:40 something. Maybe at 10 or 15 minutes after. Okay.
Okay, okay, sir.
So we'll continue the connection, or we have to reconnect. What is your
No.
suggestion?
I'll pause the recording and you can connect.
Okay,
No issue with that. Okay.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
LMS type of sessions are like once we can able to see the recording hereafter also.
You can download the recording when I'll share the link with you. You can download the recording, and if you download it, then you can you can view it as many number of times as you want.
Okay, okay, sir.
Okay.
Uh,
Thank you.
so once done, we'll get all the documents also, no? Means whatever,
You see,
uh,
as in
what is the,
as in every session, whatever documents I use, I will share it with you at the end of the class. When after every session, I will share with you the meeting recording and the documents which were used during the training or during the session.
okay, okay, then it's fine. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now this is the portal. This is a portal where you will be doing all the configuration part for your cloud, creating the VM, creating the virtual network, and all the configuration and other parts. So this is the VM. Let me go to the services part. So here, if you click over here, and you can go into all services. So these are it. So first, what you need to do, you need to create a resource group. First thing that is that you need to create a resource group. So you need to go in general resource groups, create. So go in the general. Under general, you have this resource groups. General resource groups. Click on the resource group. Okay, and here you can click on create. Okay, in your case, this will be empty, but in my case, I have other resource groups into my account. So just ignore this resource groups that are there. In your case, it will be empty. So create a new resource group. Okay, so now it will only ask you for two things, the name of the resource group. So here I'm giving the name as b02.hana-rg. So the name of the resource group is b02.hana-rg. The region, what region you want. So by default, it takes as US, East US region. So the region is nothing else, but it means the region where your VM will be placed. Or it means the data center. Where is your data center located? The actual physical data center of Azure. So if you click on this drop down menu, you can see multiple locations over here. So actually, these are the places around the world. Globally, these are the locations where Azure physical data centers are located. And so you can see many in the Europe, many in Asia Pacific, many in the US, and many different things over here. Okay, so these are the different locations for this data centers. You will see that you also have a location for India also. Okay, you can also see somewhere here in Asia Pacific. Others. There is some, let me check. Can give the name India. You can see there are two locations for this India location. One is the South India. It may be somewhere in Hyderabad or Bangalore, and the other is the West India. West India may be somewhere in Mumbai, Pune, or something like that. Okay, so you will ask that why not select the region or the data center which is physically located close by, nearby to my actual location. The reason that I'm choosing US East US is that see, most of you'll be creating the free account, and during the creation of free account, if you choose some other region, then most of the free services will not be available in that region. So that is the reason. This is the one of the biggest location, or you can say the data center for Azure, and you whatever services, these services that we'll be using in this sessions, every service is available under this region. If you select some other region, then you will find that okay, this service is not available there in that region. So just to avoid any kind of confusion or issues in the future, we just select this region, US East US. And second thing is that the pricing also differs on the region wise. So, for example, for some same service, for one service which is priced as, for example, say $10 in one region, it might be priced as $15 in another region, and maybe $8 or $5 in other region. So the pricing also differs on the region wise, and I found that this region you will find most of the services with the cheapest pricing for this region. So it's better to go with this region, US East US. So I'm giving the name of my resource group as b02.hana-rg, and the default, my case is default, but in your case, it might be some other region. So just select this region, US East US. You can click on the next tags and everything. Otherwise, you can just click on review plus create. Review plus create, you can see this message validation passed. So once the validation is passed, you can go and you can click on create. So once you create, it will create a new resource group. In the list, you can see that I have different resources groups over here. When I click on create, it will add another new resource group in my list, which will be b02.hana-rg. So you can see over here, this is my new resource group, b02.hana-rg. So try to choose the name of your resource group as simple and as relative as possible. So you can relate to it that what is the content or what is this resource group related to. Okay, so I created this resource group. I have created the name, so I can just put it done and this also done. So the resource group is created. This part is created. Now next coming to the virtual network, create virtual networks. You have to go in networking, virtual networks, create. So again, you can go into click all services. Okay, here you need to go in networking and then virtual networks. The first section, virtual networks. Okay, here you need to click on create. You are creating a virtual network. Let me just this is 1.1.0.0. Okay, so I'll do one thing. I will delete this mistake. So one other thing is that you can directly delete the resource group. When you delete the resource group, all the resources which are there under that resource group will also be deleted. So it's a very simple way of wiping out whatever you have done in case of your lab and testing and all. You can directly go and delete. So here is this resource group by the name HANA B01.rg. So what I'm doing is that I will be deleting this resource group. Just select this resource group and here you can see the delete option over here. Run delete command. Why is it? Okay, sorry. Delete resource group. Here is this button. Delete resource group. So I can directly delete the resource group from here. Apply for delete for selected virtual machines and virtual machine scale sets. And then you can click on type the resource group name. This is the resource group name. Just type the resource group and it will enable the delete button and you can just click on delete. So it takes some time, maybe 2-3 minutes. You can track the progress from here, deleting resource group. So if it delete, then I can just select the two.
Why, Sudipta here, why we have named B02 HANA? I mean,
This is the number of the batch. This is the second batch, the B02 batch. So
oh,
in case if I have
okay,
some other
okay,
upcoming batches, so I don't have to get confused in clashes in the different. So in case if I'm
okay,
working
okay,
other
okay,
batch
okay.
with one batch, if I accidentally go into some others VMs and it will just create confusion. So that's
Okay,
the
makes
reason.
sense. Okay, thank you.
So no issue. Let it keep on deleting. We'll just go and start creating our virtual networks. So networking, virtual networks, and then create. So virtual networks and create. So here is the screen. So first thing that you need to select is your resource group. If you create any resource, you need to select under which resource group you want to place it. So select the resource group. In my case, in our case, we select b02.hana-rg. This is the resource group. Okay. So this is the resource group, the name. So this is the name of the resource group. The same naming convention. Just I'm just changing the right part. So now yeah, there it was RG resource group. There it is VNet virtual network. Region, no change in the region. Keep the region as it is. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Now click on the next IP addresses. So when you come under the next IP addresses, it is showing us 10.2.0.0. So already our IP address space is already selected as 10.2.0.0/16. So it is the same over here. So I will not do any changes in the IP address space. Okay. Next, remove the subnet. So by default, there is a subnet by the name as default. So here, if you see, there's a subnet which is already by the number 10.2.0.0/24. And this is a name that's default. So what you do, just select this subnet and remove the subnet. We don't want this subnet. We'll create our own subnet. So we have deleted this subnet. So resource group done, name done, address space done. Okay, now this we all deleted, done. Now coming to add subnet. Now you can just click on add subnet. So the first thing, subnet name. So our name of the subnet, this should be public subnet. So we are creating a public subnet. The IP address range 10.2.0.0/24. By default, it is the same. It just default. No need for any other configuration, net gateway, anything else. Just click on add. So we have created one subnet by the name as public, which is this name of the subnet address 10.2.0.0/24. Okay, if you click on this public, if you see over here, if you see this part over here, 10.0.0.0 and 255, you can see 255 plus 5 Azure reserved addresses. Can you see this screen below the subnet address range box?
Yes, yes, same which you have explained.
Yes, so this is the reason why it is saying that you can only have 251 IPs plus 5 are Azure reserved. So these are 5 IPs. Which 5 IPs are reserved by Azure? I've already explained you. So this is the reason. So let us create the second subnet, which is the database subnet. So add subnet, database subnet. The subnet address will be 10.2.1.0. In every subnet, you will find the same explanation. Only 251 IP addresses are available. 5 are reserved. So add. Now third one will be creating the application subnet. We will not be using the application subnet in our batch, but just for uniformity and just for showing you the best practices, I'm creating this subnet. Okay, so you can see public database application. I've created these 3 subnets, and on the right side you can see the subnet addresses 10.2.0.0. See, if you see over here under the our range, our virtual network range is 10.2.0.0. So under this range, it is creating the subnets 10.2.0.0, 10.2.1.0, 10.2.2.0. Okay, is it clear? Now you can, if you want, you can go on security, or you can directly click on review plus create. Review plus create. So these all parts are done. So here it is giving, it is saying validation passed. It is giving you a brief or summary. If you want, you can review the summary, and then you can click on create. So it will take some time to create the resource group. Okay, here you can see they deleted the resource group HANA B01RG. So if you now refresh the screen over here, it will not find the HANA B01 RG resource group over here. So here it says deployment succeeded. Your deployment is complete. It means it has created the network B02.HANA-DNet. So our virtual network is ready. So these 2 parts have been done, resource group and the virtual network. Now we can start with creating the virtual machine. So first thing, we need to create the Bayesian host. So you need to go into compute virtual machines, create virtual machine. So all services, compute virtual machines, create, and again virtual machine. So this is the part where you will give all the description. So now first thing is you need to give a resource group. So as I said, for creating every resources, you have to define your resource group. So here you will give your resource group b02.hana-rv. Now this is the virtual machine name, the name of your virtual machine. So you can give the name of your virtual machine that also as relative as possible. So here again I give it b02.hana-bation. Here it is. This is the name of my virtual machine. So in case if I have like continuous 2 or 3 parallel batches, so this patient should not, I should not get confused. Okay, which patient belongs to which batch. So that is the reason I can directly relate. Okay, this patient belongs to the B02 batch. Region will be the default US East US image. Now here it is asking you which image you want. So here in this part image, here you have to select the image over here. Okay, so here you need to select the image over here. Okay, so you can see over here Windows Server 2016 Data Center Gen 2. Windows Server 2019. So you can also select Windows Server 2019 Gen 2. But here it is not given the small disk. If I select this VM 2000, this one which is given in the list, it will create with the default root size of 128 GB. Okay, so 128 GB is not required. Okay, and because if you, the more highest capacity you will select, the higher you will have to pay. So you can go on see all images, click on see all images, and here you can go under Windows Server. Here you can select the disk size that you want to, image size that you want to create the VM for. So you can go for the Windows Server 2019. Windows Server 2019 Data Center Gen 2. Can you see this image? It is there is a description over here, small disk. So this is a small disk image. The C drive will be very small. I think it will be somewhere around say 30 or GB. You can check it with them. So this is a small disk image. Windows Server 2019 Data Center Gen 2. Windows Server 2019 Data Center.
Sir, why only data center edition? Why can't we have 2019 or anything professional version or any standard version?
This is provided by the cloud. These images are provided by the cloud service provider, so we cannot check with that. If you want to check for other things, you might find some other versions also, but mostly they are giving this image only, the data center image only.
These are a free tier, sir, or anything will be charged accordingly?
No, these are not free types. I will come to that point on the next selection. Okay, so this is Windows Server. Where were we? Windows Server Gen 2. Windows Server 2019. Windows Server 2019 Data Center Gen 2. So this is the VM that we have selected over here. Windows VM name may not contain this. This is something new because last time when I created it, they were let me check it 2016. Windows Server 2016. Windows Server 2016 Data Center Gen 2. I think there's a new restriction in place if that it should not contain underscore or dot. Earlier it was allowing to create earlier it gave the option to contain underscore and dot, but now it is not doing.
Sir, we have to create all these VMs in under same resource group, right, sir?
Yes, yes. It depends on your requirement. If your requirement is like under the same resource group, you can create in the same. Or if you want to create in different resource group, it's up to you.
By definition, resource group is a pool of VMs which is having under the same subnetwork.
Can you come again? What?
By definition, resource group is a pool of VMs belonging to a particular virtual private network.
No, no, it is not a pool of VMs. It can contain any of the resources. It can contain your disk resource. It can contain your network device resource. It can contain your rules. There are different things. So okay, like just remind me of this question after we create the VM, and I will show you it in practical.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I think it is not allowing to create the VM with a dot in it, and this is only applicable to Windows VM. So let me put a hyphen. So I think it works if when you can have a hyphen over here. So in here in this case also let me instead of a so we'll not give a dot in the VM name. We instead I'm putting a hyphen over here. Okay, so now images. Let me again select the image. Small disk Windows Server 2019 data center. Small disk Windows Server 2019 data center. Okay. So now it is also allowing me to create it. Why is it not allowing me to select this VM type? It's not allowing to create the small disk edition. Windows Server 2019, Windows Server 2019, Windows Server 2016. Small disk Windows Server 2016 data center. Why is it not switching? Okay, so let us we will go with the one which is suggesting over here Windows Server 2019 data center Gen 2. So we are taking this image. Now, if you see over here, the second part comes to the size part. If you see the size part, it will show you what size it is giving by default. It is giving you B1S. And what is the size of this machine? 1 VCP and 1 GB memory. And the costing of this VM for the whole month. For the whole month, it is 736 rupees point 30 paise. So RJ, if your question comes over here, this is here where you can see the pricing.
Got it, sir.
Okay, but this pricing is only for B1S. So what we are going, okay, so which sizing we want? We want B1MS, which is 1 vCPU and 2 GB memory. Okay, and the pricing for this 1 CPU and 2 GB memory is 1088 rupees per month. So here we are going to change the sizing of this VM. We are not going with B1S. We are just click on see all sizes and we will select the B1MS. So you can search for your B2MS 2GB. Okay, here it is. Let me go in the B series. If it is not here in the most used, then you can go on the B series and you can select the B1MS. 1 VCP and 2 GB memory. Okay, and you can click on select. Once you click on select, it is showing you the loading the price. It is now calculating the price. So you can see the price over here. The price is now 1293.79 per month. Last time it was 1088. I think the prices have gone up. I think. Let me see if there's a difference in for 2019 and 2016. Okay, the pricing is same. There is no changes in the pricing for based on the version of the OS. So let us select the latest one, 2019. Okay, so this is I'm selecting the image as Windows Server 2019 Data Center Gen 2, and the size is standard B1MS, 1 VCQ, 2 GB memory. Okay, 1 VCQ
Sir?
and yes.
How many one physical V core, one core is equal to how many vCPU, sir? Or how, what is the physical CPU to virtual CPU? What is the calculation?
I can't get your point. Can you come again?
In physical servers, normally we'll have one core, two cores or four cores, 8 cores.
Okay.
In virtual machine, we are coming with one CPU, two vCPUs. How we correlate these things, sir? Or what is the standard ratio with one physical core to how many vCPUs?
You can click on the sizes, and here I think you should, if you go on the details, it should show you learn more about the VM sizes. Just click on this. It will give you the detail of this. Yeah, Linux, Windows, you have sizes of virtual machines. So the compute sizes. So I think if you go through this point, you somewhere you get a detail about the CPUs and sizing and everything. So normally it is here it is not given what is the speed of the core. So are you asking about the speed of the core?
How many physical CPUs it makes one vCPU? What is the how many physical CPUs?
You see
One
your
CPU is equal to
vCPU.
how many vCPUs? Like what is the
vCPU is the one.
correlation between a physical CPU and virtual CPU? I'm asking about that.
See, normally what happens, physical CPU is is your physical CPU that you have in your server. Inside that physical CPU, inside the physical CPU, you can have multiple cores in that. Do you get it? What happens? The earlier what happens in under one physical CPU used to have only one CPU only. But after when the microcomputing got advanced, what happens under the same die under one physical CPU they can place multiple CPUs. Okay, that is called as a cores, multi cores. So under the same physical CPU, you can have, for example, 2 core, you can have 4 core, you can have 8 core, which is called as octa core, quad core. Under the same physical CPU, it is divided into multiple cores. So here in this you can compare the core to the vCPU, virtual CPU. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir. So one core is equal to one vCPU.
Yes, one core is equal to one CPU. So let me get back.
But these things are based on the business requirement, right? Whatever we are selecting based on the requirement from the business.
Not
Like,
exactly on the business requirement, but also on the application requirement. You can say both on the business and the application requirement. For example, your application requirements is you need a system with like a 16 core and 256 GB memory. Okay, so
okay.
this is your application requirement. Then the business will say, okay, right now we don't want to go with such high VM, so let us go with 8 core, 8 vCPU and 120 GB memory. Or the business might say, okay, after 2 months again, if I have to upgrade, so instead of going with 16 core and 256 memory, 256 GB memory, let us go with 32 cores and 512 GB memory. So this is your like it's a balance between your business requirement and your application requirement.
Okay.
Okay, so here is what we have chosen is here the resource group. Then we have chosen the name, and this is the image. This is the size of your VM username. See, this is the username that you will use to access this VM. This is the username. By default, the administrator account. See, if you have experience, whenever you install a Windows operating system, the default user which is created is administrator. But in a cloud environment, the administrator user is disabled. You can when you create a VM, the administrator user is not there. So instead of the administrator user, you have to create some other user. And the reason for that is that because administrator is a very common name. Every person knows that this is a Windows machine, then it will have administrator account or user. And this information is also known by the hacker or the cracker. So they also try to launch an attack on this VM, try to launch uh, they try to hack the PC with the administrator account. They try to crack the password for the administrator account because everybody knows that since it's a Windows PC, it will have an administrator account. So that is the reason by default there is no administrator account. You have to create some different user account to access this PC. So we are using the sysadmin. We will be creating. We will using. We are using this user. We will use this user to access this VM. Sysadmin. The password. So give some complicated password. Don't give very simple password because it might get cracked. Because since this is the Bayesian host and this will be exposed to the internet. So since this will be exposed to the internet, it will be open to attacks also. So this is the username and the password. Okay, then you can just click on next. So here don't need to do any changes, further changes, just click on next. Okay, so now it is asking you the OS disk type. What is the type of the OS disk? So here you can select SSD. Don't go with the premium. Premium discs are costlier. Premium discs are costlier. So just go with the standard SSD. There are three types of discs: premium SSD, standard SSD, and standard HDD. So if you want to see the description within there, you can manage disk. Okay, is the Azure manage disk pricing. So you can go for this link over here. So you will get the pricing for all the disk over here. So here the redundancy, local redundancy region. So every different region will have different pricing. You have to select the price region, and you have to select the currency in which you want to see the pricing. Now there is the first section is the premium SSD. This will contain all the pricing for the premium SSD. So if you go down, you can see these are the pricing. So for a 4 GB disk size, it will be rupees 45.40 per month. So just for your, since there are many non-Indians in this, so let me convert it to dollar USD. So this is the pricing. So it will be $0.60 per month. That is for a 4 GB disk. Again, coming to, for example, say 32 GB disk, it will be $5 per month. Okay, this is the premium pricing. If you go down, it will come to the standard SSD. For the standard SSD, the pricing for a 32 GB will be $2.40, and for a 64 GB it will be 4.80. Again, if you go down, you will get the pricing for the standard HDD. What is the standard HDD? Standard HDD is actually your magnetic disk. It is not an SSD, it is the magnetic disk. So these are the pricing for the magnetic disk. For example, it starts with 32 GB. The pricing is $1, $1.54. In case of SSD, the pricing for 32 GB is 2.40. So if you compare the pricing is comparatively half. If the pricing of HDD is half of your SSD. So this is for your reference.
So we can use SDD also, right? Like, or is it as SSD we need to create?
You can use HDD also, but in some cases you will find a little lag, or you can find a little slowness in this. So that's the reason I go with SSD, standard SSD. I also don't go with premium. So normally I go with the middle option, the SSD option.
Okay.
So here is your standard SSD. So this is the standard SSD. Okay, now comes your virtual network. Sorry, not the virtual network. Okay, now go and then we have collected the disk. Here in this case, we don't need any data disk for the Bayesian host. There is no need for any additional drive or partition. So just ignore this part and go on the networking section. In the networking section, what is it? Virtual network. So you have to create which virtual network you want to place this VM in. So we'll be placing it under b02.hana-rg. b02.hana-vnet. So just a moment, I think again, why is it created? Our VNet is not listed over here. So this is there is some new issues coming up with this cloud because I faced this situation before also. Our VNet is not listed over here. They again took us to the first part. Okay, let me virtual networks. So this is our VNet b02.hana-rvnet. It was showing that b02.hana-rg-vnet. It was trying to create a new VNet. Let me go again in the virtual machines. I'll create a new virtual machine. Create virtual machine. Okay, virtual machine new. b02. Now I can see the Windows small disk. Small disk standard D1 MS. Username, this standard SLB, next networking. This still not showing that let me search for it. B02. This one. Just give me 1 minute. I need to delete this. Now it's gone. So here I'll try to create the VM over here b02.hana hyphen unit. Okay, IP address space 10 dot this is the IP address space will be 10.2. Delete this one, create with the 10.2 IP address space, then delete okay, you can directly create with the default public subnet IP address space 10.2. Second will be your database 10.2.1. Then will be your application 10.2. Here it is. So here we have created this subnet 3 unit. Okay, b02. So here is it. Now in under which subnet you want to place it, we'll be placing it under the public subnet. The public subnet, and then we'll be attaching an IP address also. We'll need to attach a public IP address to this VM. So if you remember that part where I said that we need to add a public IP to this Bayesian host to access this Bayesian host from the internet. So here is this part. So in this part, we'll be attaching a public IP. So the name of the resource name of that IP will be b02 hyphen hyphen HANA hyphen Bayesian hyphen IP. This is it. So this is the name of this IP, and you can click on next part comes your management part. Now, if you come into the management part, there you can select the setting over here for auto shutdown. So this is a very important part over here. So what you can do, you can click on enable auto shutdown. What you can do here, you can give the time of the shutdown. For example, every day at midnight, you can give the time as for example 12 a.m. So what will happen every day at 12 a.m. all the VMs which you enable this enable auto shutdown, it will get switched off. Okay, so in case if you are a newcomer, if you forget to switch off the machine, so it will not keep on running. because some of the VMs are very expensive. This VM, for example, the Bastion VM, it will cost you somewhere around 1200 to 1300 rupees. That is not a big for the whole month. But some VM, if you go for this VM, the 128 GB VM, it will cost you somewhere around 53,000 rupees for the month, whole month. And if you forget to switch it off, if you forget to shut it down, then it will keep on running and you will be charged for a very big amount for that VM. So it is better to set up this enable auto shutdown, so that in this way you can limit your risk, you can limit your expenses. So you can auto shutdown, enable auto shutdown. Shutdown time it will be 12 a.m. You can give any time that you want. For example, if you practice during the night, so you can give the shutdown time at 6 a.m. So for every day at 6 a.m. it will shut down automatically. Or you can give it at 8 a.m. Anywhere at what time you find it there. So second is the time zone. You need to select what time zone it should shut it down. So here I will be selecting the 5:30, the India time zone. Okay. Notification before shutdown. If you want a notification, you can click, or you can just click on no notification, because it will send you a mail. So it doesn't make any sense, because it will send you a mail and it will shut it down. So in case if you want a notification, you can click on the. So here it is. So here
If
what
if
we do.
suppose if suppose we want to postpone the shutdown with the email notification, we can do that or not?
No, because as soon as it will send the email notification, it will shut it down. So you will not have enough time to go and postpone the. If you are working, then it will be up to you to go there and you have to manually postpone the time of the shutdown. For
Okay,
example,
we
if you
can
are
do that.
given, for
Mhm.
example, if you're given the shutdown auto shutdown time is 12 a.m. midnight, and if you're
Mhm.
working at 11 o'clock, 11:30, you have to go there and you have to change the shutdown time to say 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever you want.
Is
Here
okay.
we are doing the auto shutdown, and you can click on review plus create.
Sir, can you just go to the previous step, sir? Before auto shutdown.
Yes, so what you want to see?
Enable auto shutdown is okay.
Okay,
Public.
your voice is a little bit lower.
Sir, is it okay, sir, now?
Now it's good. Yes, yes. Tell me a question. What is it?
The previous step, I see something. No problem, sir.
Okay, 1 minute. Let me click on previous. Review previous management. Yes. What do you want to see here?
Before the previous step, sir, on top of this. Yeah.
Which one? Networking, these basics. Which one?
Networking.
Yes. What in networking?
In the networking, what we have changed it to now, we have created a new virtual network and we have
Yes.
enabled. Why this previous is not taking? Because there we have made the changes in the name of the virtual network.
No. Actually,
That's why
this
it
is
is
a
not
bug.
taking.
No. This is a bug in the cloud. This is in their application or in their portal. Earlier, I used to do the same thing. I used to first create the virtual network, and when I create a VM, I used to select the virtual network from this list. But since some time, I think I know the last 1 month, in the last 1 month, I just created one or two VM. I faced the same issue. When I click on the drop down, it doesn't show me the virtual network which I've created in my previous step.
Ideally, it should show because we have
Yes,
created, then it should.
yes. Actually, I've been conducting this courses from the last 4 or 5 months, and I've never faced this issue before. But in the last 1 month, I faced this issue. Yeah, when I create this
Mhm.
virtual network, and immediately afterwards, when I go and create the VM, it doesn't show in the drop down list. So this is some
Is
bug.
it because of time it requires, or it will
Yes,
it will never
yes,
show?
then I do, I did it. If I wait for 5 or 10 minutes or maybe 15 minutes, then it will show in the drop down list. Maybe
Okay,
it
okay,
takes
okay.
some time to register and something because of that.
Hmm.
But I
Okay.
cannot ask my students to wait for 15 minutes to get to the drop
Hmm.
down.
But we can wait now. When we will create, we can try to wait and do
You
that.
can wait it. It's up to you. Or what I will do from the next time, I will edit my Excel sheet So instead of
Mhm.
creating this virtual network in the free step,
Separately,
I will
yeah,
add
we'll
it over
create.
in this step only. I will create the virtual network in this step
Yes,
so that
yes.
it doesn't create any confusion or some ambiguity. That is it. So here we have created. So yes, any question someone was asking?
No, sir. That's what there is a question from that point only. I was cleared on that.
Okay, that is it. No problem.
One thing, when we are putting the auto shutdown mode, so
Mhm.
when we have to use it, we have to go and we have to start the server. It will automatically start at some point.
No, it is only auto shutdown. It is not auto
Okay,
startup.
okay. There is no option for startup.
Auto
Sir, you
startup, we
asked me
don't
to
have a
remind.
direct. Yes, yes, someone.
You asked me to remind about resource group, no, sir, while creating.
Let the VM get created. Then only I can show you. Na? You have still not created the VM.
Mhm.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
yes,
Sudeep, you are asking about
yes.
what?
The same.
Resource
I
group.
mean, no. I was asking that there's an option to shut down. So once
See,
we once.
for auto
Mhm.
startup, there is no direct option over. There is no button that you can
Okay.
click and start it
Okay.
auto.
So
You
we
have to
have to
write a
come
script.
here. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
you
have
have
to
to
come
write.
here and we have to start. You are
That is the
saying.
manual part, and if you want to start it automatically, then you have to write a script in
Yes.
JSON.
In the window.
JSON,
Yes,
and then
yes.
you have to schedule it in and there's a cloud.
Yes, yes. Got your point. Got your point. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so now let me just review my options over here. Here, B01, this small disk Windows
A
Server
small
2000.
disk is coming now.
Yes, it is coming now. So I said
Yeah.
there is, I think they are maybe, I think they're developing something new developments, and so this is it's a little buggy. They're
Yeah,
giving a
this is
little buggy.
coming now. Now it will be cheaper, but it has not made anything cheaper now. If you see, it is
No,
the.
no, see, this is the computing partner. So see
Okay,
what
okay, okay.
computing resource I'm choosing, one
Yes,
VC,
yes.
2 GB
Okay,
memory.
okay,
So there
okay.
will be no impact on the computing price. It will impact on the disk price.
Okay, this price is different when the final VM gets created.
Yes, if I show you, just, you see the
Okay, so
pricing
the
over here
overall, yes,
for the standard
the
SSD, sir,
yes.
for 30 GB pricing, it is
Mm-hmm.
$2.40. If you see the
Mm-hmm.
128 GB, it is $9.60. If I don't
Yes, yes.
select the small disk, it will create this 128 GB of a image. It will take the image
Mm-hmm.
of 120 GB. It will charge me $9.60 per month for this unnecessary disk space.
Yes, because we are not going to use this much. So right now it
Yes,
is
we are not going
64
to use
GB. Right now it is 64 GB or
30
32?
32
GB,
GB.
30 GB,
32
32.
GB. Okay, it is very cheap. Okay.
So this is it now. Sysadmin password. Next disk standard SSD networking B02 another unit public version. Next management auto shutdown. This disable this. So now you can click on review plus create. So it is still running the validation. So it is validation pass. You can see the pricing of this period. So you will be charged 1 rupee 77 paise per hour. So it depends on how many hours you use. So it will be hourly. The pricing or the billing will be hourly, not monthly. So these are the details. These are the summary. If you want to review, you can review the summary and you can click on create. Now it will take some time, maybe 2 or 3 minutes to create the VM. So now RJ,
Yes, sir.
now if you see over here, it will show you what resources it is creating. So right now it is still the deployment is in progress. You can see the resource in the first column, the resource. You can see the different resources it's creating. So first it created a resource for VNet. So this is also a resource, virtual network. Then it created a resource for Bayesian IP. Then it created a resource for NSG. NSG is your network security group. So when you say that you gave the definition like that, your resource group is a pool of VMs. So it is not a pool of VMs, but it is a pool of resources. So you can have different types of resources. So you can see now you have a resource for this network interface. This is the resource for network interface. So likewise, you have many different kind of resources. So your resource group is a is a collection, is a container for different types of resources. VM resource, disk resource, interface, network interface resource, and then IP resource, network security group resource.
Means
So these are
whatever
the
it
different,
comes for the
yes, whatever
deployment of
comes
the
under creating
system.
your VM.
For organization, you can say whatever
Yes, depending. You can
from
also
network
create
to hardware.
resources afterward also. For example, if you create a load balancer, so in the next part you can create a load balancer and you can add it to the resource group, to the earlier resource group that you have created. There are different services. As I told you, there are hundreds of services in a cloud provided by the cloud service provider. Okay, there are different services, Kubernetes, and there are that and that. Like database services and database as a software service, and there are many kinds of services available. Okay, so the deployment is still in progress. As I said, it takes some time. Okay, so now you can see your deployment is complete. So my VM is now completely
So fast,
created.
so fast.
So
2 minutes
yeah,
it
so
has
this
taken.
this VM will be created sometimes for the bigger VMs, for 128 GB VM, 64 GB VM. It takes some time, but not every time. Maybe in some rare cases, it might take up to 10 minutes also. So it depends upon. So now you can see this is my VM which has been created, B02-HANA-Dation, and this is my subscription under which it is created. This is a resource group under which it is created. This is the location, and the status of the VM is running. The status of this is the size of my VM, and you can see the IP address of my VM. It is taking the first available IP address, that is 10.2.0.4. Okay, and only one disk is attached to this VM. Okay, so if you are now how to access this VM. Now let us just quickly see how to access this VM. So you can just click on this VM, and here you will see the live IP. If you see over here, can you see over here the public IP address?
Yes.
This is the public IP address of my Dation host. So you can just copy the public. You can just click on this copy to clipboard, click on this copied, and you can go. You can open MSTSC. You can directly open MSTSC to access this VM. And what I do is that I have remote desktop connection manager. So I can just save all my credentials also here. This is for B01. I'll create a new add a server. I will name it as B02.HANA, and sorry, this will be the IP address. This is the IP address, and the display name will be B02.HANA. You can save the credentials over here. You can save the, instead of the administrator, you will have to put the credential as sysadmin,
Sysadmin.
and the password will be the password which you have set at the time of creating add. So now I can see my this connection over here. Just double click on it and it will connect to this VM. So you can see it is connected to this VM. Just click over here and click on yes. So let me just okay, so now we have created the Dation host.
Virtual machine name we can change as a hyphen. Remove dot and change hyphen.
Yes, actually, this the Windows virtual machine names doesn't allow to
Yes.
have hyphen. That is the reason I only changed for the Windows VM. For the other VMs, it will be the same. V02 dot the HANA. So
Okay.
this you can see now here. This is my Dation host. Do you want to allow your PC to be discovered by other PCs and devices on this network? Yes. So now I can access my Dation host in my public subnet. Okay, don't show this message again. Windows admin just let the terminal new. You can just close this, and again you can click on manage server manager properties. Okay, do not show server manager automatically at login. So every time the Windows start, it will not bring up this. I think this is the part where you can, okay, here you can manually activate Windows if not activated in some rare cases. Okay, not every time, but in some rare cases, what happens if you check the status of this VM, right click over your system. Here you will see details. This is a different screen into 2016. It is a different screen. So you can get here. So here you can see, if you see below over here, it says Windows is activated. Can you see over here? Yes, everybody. Can you see in this under the last part of Windows activation? Yeah, this part. Yeah, can you see this part? Windows activation.
Yes, we can see.
So it says Windows is activated. In rare cases, I've seen that sometimes when you create a VM, it shows that it is not activated. It may be a bit, it might have been a bug earlier, so it was not. It doesn't activate the VM. But since you are paying for this VM, even if you are paying it on a free credit, but since you are entitled to a free license, you are entitled to a license, so you can don't you can activate the Windows. You can activate Windows from here. Okay, so it seems in case if it is not activated, you can run this command slmgr in case if it is not activated. If it is this is the command slmgr space /ato. Okay, so if you run this command, it will go and it will activate the Windows. In case, so now in our case, it is not applicable because it is already activated. Second is time zone. By default, it is the time zone of the VM is under some other time zone, GMT time zone. So, for example, run time load the CTL. If you see the time zone, it is under the UTC time zone. So you can go and change under change time zone, and here you can change the time zone to your local time zone. Whatever is your local time zone, you can change it from here. Time zone. Okay, and okay. So once you change the time zone, you can see the time. It will become your it will come to your local time. So yes, everyone, is it clear till now?
Yes, for me it is
Yeah,
clear.
clear.
Any queries?
I have a
Yes, yes.
question. Like,
Yes, go
are
on.
you? Yeah, we have created virtual network and everything, right?
Mhm.
Now you have added this database. Is it on HANA Studio, HANA Cockpit? What train is it?
See that
Like remote
that part
connection
will
manner.
come later. That part will come later. Don't get confused with that. So
This
whenever
is
we
just a
cover that
VM.
topic, no,
Mm-hmm.
nothing is there right now. We will install the HANA database also. We'll create the VM for HANA database. Right now, we have only created the VM for Windows Bastion host.
Oh,
In the
okay.
next part, that is tomorrow we will create a VM for the HANA database, and we will configure the operating system for the HANA database, and then we will install the HANA database, and then we will install the HANA studio, and we will add that database into that studio. So that part will be covered tomorrow.
Okay,
And
fine.
that too is on a Linux machine, not on Windows machine, correct?
See, HANA database is only supported on Linux.
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 Okay.
HANA database,
Okay.
now only the HANA database. It is
Linux.
only
Okay.
supported on Linux, and you can only it is supported on x86_64 architecture and PPC architecture. That is a Power PC. Or in case if you
Okay.
have an IBM Power PC, so
Mhm.
you can install on that also. But
Yeah.
the operating system will be HANA only. The
P6
architecture
or
will be
P7.
the architecture will be different, but the operating system will be Linux.
Okay.
HANA
We
database
cannot
is
do it
only
on Windows. We cannot install HANA system on Windows. HANA
no,
database on
HANA
Windows.
database is only supported on Linux operating system. You can install the S for HANA application server on a Windows
Yeah.
system.
So
Windows
is there any
operating system.
specific reason they have only limited it to Linux? Because suppose Oracle database, it is for both. Many databases are for both.
See, till now, I have not come across any article or literature where
Oh, okay.
SAP has defined or like defended why it has chosen Linux. But if you see, the most obvious reason is that first thing is that Windows is not an open operating system.
Yes, yes,
Okay, you
okay.
cannot, and see, in creating the database, you should have a very open, or you can have a very access to the kernel of the operating system. Since Linux comes under the GNU license,
Yes,
GPL, it comes under the GNU public license. It is the source code is open. So that
yes.
is the reason all the new development, all the new applications, they are coming up on the Linux operating system. And that is the
Mhm.
reason. And since HANA is an in-memory database, it's like it needs a lot of configuration and tuning, tweaking and part on the kernel part. So that's why they have
Mhm.
chosen the Linux operating system.
Okay, okay.
Sir, which
Makes
flavor
sense.
of Linux we are going to set up for HANA DB, sir?
Okay, yes, I've already told you we will be installing the SLES, SUSE Linux Enterprise Server for SAP 15 version and SP3.
Okay, sir. Okay. Sir, Sir,
Okay.
previously you have set up one DB and one application on other subnet, created other subnets, sir. Where we have not used, where will use, sir? Where will be using that, sir?
I'm not getting a question. Can you come again?
Sir, previously while creating a VM, we have created three
Mhm.
subnets. One is for public,
Yes,
one is for application, one is for database.
yes.
So
Uh,
we have not come across the other two parts, right, sir?
okay, see, so now we have created this Bayesian host. We have placed this Bayesian host in the public subnet. Okay.
Okay.
And tomorrow, when we will create the HANA VM, that tomorrow when we create the HANA VM, we will place that VM under the database subnet.
Okay.
That is
Got it,
that is
sir.
private. That is private, correct?
That is private subnet. That is the private
Yes, yes.
subnet.
The structure which you have shared with us,
Ah,
the second slide, where the
yes,
database will be in the private subnet, but the bastion which will connect to the public IP, correct?
yes, that is it. And the application subnet, it will not be used in this batch because we will be only discussing or covering the database part in this batch. In the next part, that comes your S4 HANA basis administration. So in that part, then we will be creating the S4 HANA VM, the VM for the application server. At that time, when we create that VM, that will be placed under the application subnet. Okay.
So that will not cover in our course.
In
This
this
that will be the
in
different
HANA
course.
DB admin, this part it will not be covered in this part. The application server.
Okay, okay.
We'll only cover. See, I think they have given me in this. This is the course content. So here, these are the details of the course content. So here we'll be covering only for the database part. These are all the database related topics. Okay, there is no application server. We'll only be creating, installing everything about the database. We'll be covering everything about the database. The application part comes under the S4HANA basis P1, the part 1. So here you will have the lab setup, this will be our S4HANA installation. So for this installation, we'll need a VM for the app server, application server. So that will be covered, that will be covering the S4HANA application server. Is it clear?
So with the first course, we'll not be able to do any certification, correct? Or there is
So
a
in
certification
this
for first
course, you can go with the certification for the HANA. I told you, I think C underscore HANA 10 underscore 17, which is the
17.
certification
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
you have
HANA.
messaged. Yes, yes. So
Which is the
that will be
certification
applicable.
for you can't say it applicable because see, you have to clear the certification using the dumps only.
Yes,
You can,
yes, yes.
so you can without this course also you can directly get the certificate. If you register for the certification, if you get the dumps, you can directly apply for the certification.
Yes. Okay.
But in case of technically speaking, yes, this for after this course you are eligible for the C underscore HANA Tech underscore 17.
17. Yes. Okay.
And after the second, the basis part, you are eligible for that TADM 21, I think. That is the number of that certification. I have to check.
Okay.
Anything else?
I
Yes,
think
friends, anything else?
This will cover this will cover 1090, right?
1090. What is 1090?
Nay, I'm asking about S4 HANA.
No, we will not be covering S for HANA in this batch. This is only for the HANA DBA, HANA
Okay.
Database Administration. We will be covering S for HANA 2020 in the next part. That is the S for HANA Basis Administration.
Okay. This will be just the basis administration part.
This is just the database administration.
So
Okay.
it will have the architecture level learning also, this course.
For which thing?
For the one which we are right now currently, which we are going through, this course will have architecture.
We will be having the architecture part only for the database, not for the application, sir.
Okay. So HANA is basically database plus application. So this will have the database part. The other two will have the application level.
HANA, the S for HANA is the application server.
Application, yeah.
Why S4 is S4? What is S4?
That is actually S divided by 4. It is the naming convention. They came up with this everything. It was some naming convention. Actually, I read it before, but I don't remember it right now.
Is it a generation 4 or something like this, or because
no,
S?
it was not like this. It was
Okay.
because even if you see, they have come
Every
up with
quarter
BW
or
for HANA.
every 4 months, they've been releasing some versions, sir. Like 1709 was been created in November, September, and the year is 17. So the next version will be
What you are speaking
8.
about the version. It is not. He's not talking about the version. He's talking about the S/4.
S/4. Yes.
Why is it S/4? So actually, I read it somewhere. Let me check it. I will just check this naming convention. I will get back to you.
Okay.
Or maybe you can say it like S/4. It means SAP for HANA.
Okay. S4 HANA, SAP for HANA. Okay.
Because if you have other version like say BW/for HANA. That is like BW for HANA. Then you also have C/for HANA, CRM for HANA.
Okay.
So
We will.
I think maybe for the HANA database, this is the SAP for HANA database.
So just one last question I have. So in my company, people are, there is a what you call, there is a group where SAP basis team is there, who are handling the users and their resources, something T table or something they are doing, and according to the mail they are getting. So all those things, and they are doing it with this. There is a SAP GUI, NetWeaver or something, through which they are controlling the thing, and they are using R3P systems and all. So those SAP basis team, SAP basis team, they are going to use the things which we are going to learn in this course, or we have to go with the other two courses.
Yeah, the SAP for the basis. See this, as I said, this batch
I
will
think
not
that will
cover
be
everything
different.
related to the application. This is only about the database. This is only about the database, not about the application side. The next part, that is the basis administration, will cover everything what you are speaking about.
Okay, so basis administration is the next two part which you have, correct?
Yes, it is actually the application server administration, how to install the application server.
Yes.
And
manage users, giving permissions, all those things.
Yes, that is it.
Okay. So I think for me, I think I have to go with the other courses as well.
Because for that part, you should have understanding of this part, database.
Yes. This is the first step, you can say, for learning.
This is the first step.
Yes.
And earlier, actually, I had merged it into one course, but most of the people came like, sir, we already know the database HANA. I just want to learn the basis. Some came that, okay, I know basis, but only I'm not new. I'm new to HANA database, so I only want to learn HANA. So that is the reason I have bifurcated into three different portions. The HANA database, the basic administration part 1 and part 2.
Mhm. Okay, got your point. Okay, that's okay. There one other thing which I'll message you if required. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So my right now my you can say my comment on your courses. It is quite understandable with whatever you are teaching us. So I am very much you can say okay with the training part, at least for the first day one. Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
anybody else having any question?
And this will be continue only in the weekends, right? Saturday and Sunday, same time.
Yes, Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
It's-
Okay. So tomorrow 7 p.m. we have to
Yes,
start
Sunday.
our discussion. We cannot right now go and create the this Azure this bastion, or once you will give all the information tomorrow, then only we'll start the creation. Do we have to also create?
Create where you are talking about if you want to create your own free account.
Yes, yes, yes. So are we not going to do the training on our account, or you will give us the account?
See, if you want to do the practice for your cloud, like creating your VMs and everything, I
Hmm.
cannot give you access to my account. I mean, I
Okay,
cannot share you my user area. So
okay, okay,
Azure user ID and password for this.
okay.
For this HANA installation part,
Mm-hmm.
the HANA installation part, I will be creating the VMs. I will create the VMs and I will give it to you. And I will give you the
Okay,
credential for your Bayesian host and then the VM. You can directly for that you have to directly connect to the Bayesian host and then you connect to
okay,
the VM and you can do your practice
oh,
and all.
okay, okay, okay,
See
okay.
the
So no
VM and
need to
virtual
create.
network.
No
You
need
don't
to
have to
create
create
as of
for
now.
your server access. You'll just directly get the access where you can just do your practice for DB installation and everything.
Okay, okay, sir. Got your point.
Because I cannot
But
share my portal account to you because
no, no, obviously,
uh,
I don't want to.
that's it.
No problem. Okay, okay. So I think I have all the questions answered. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Anybody else having any query?
So thank you. See you again tomorrow.
Yes, sure. So, yes, everybody. Goodbye. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay,
Tomorrow.
thank
Good
you.
night. Take care. Bye.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.